of all, in Nassau, Bahamas, a ferry taking cruise passengers over to the Blue Lagoon, which is a beach area, has sunk, and there were injuries as well as one fatality. I don't have full information on how the fatality happened. I do know that it was a 75-year-old woman who did die in the incident. Evidently, the ship was in very high seas, and it was quite rough that day. The ship took on water and it capsized. It had quite a number of people aboard. I'm not sure the full number, but I've heard about 100 people were on board the ship. They had life vests for everyone, so most people were able to evacuate the ship. Other boats came by and helped them get rescued, and a couple of minor injuries. I think the worst thing that happened to most people were that they lost their belongings, passports, photos, phones, other electronics, and they were also obviously very frightened. There is a video on TikTok that shows what happened in the sinking. It's very complete and shows people jumping in the water, and I'm not going to show you that video because I don't know if it shows the women that did perish in the incident. However, I do have this video from the Tribune in the Bahamas, and it shows the rescue from another boat, and it shows the boats coming to the ship that sank to rescue the people who were involved in the incident. Here's the video of the boats coming to rescue the ship.
What's that?
The passengers that I know that were on this were on Independence of the Seas, which is a Royal Caribbean ship. I do know that some of the people, at least on the ship, were on a ship excursion. I don't know if this was one of those boats that takes passengers from several ships or if there were people on independent excursions. However, for sure I have information that there were people that were on Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Seas that were on excursions. I want to read something to you from someone who was on Independence of the Seas that knew someone who was on the ship. I got this from a cruise critic. The person giving this report is Anton. I'm aboard Indy and I talked to a family who were on the tour boat. They said they were on their own for a while, helping others out of the boat. They had to grab life jackets, which anyone who's been on these boats knows are not always stored in an easily accessible place. By the way, I hear that they did have enough life jackets for everyone. They said that it took a while for everyone to get their life jackets on, that there was panic. They said the crew scrambled to the top deck, leaving the motor running. So the report is that the motor was still running, and then the ships that came basically had to yell to the crew to shut the motor off so that it wasn't stirring up the bottom and possibly causing injuries to the passengers that were evacuating the ship. There were lots of bruises, lost wallets, phones. The family that gave this report lost their passports. The father of the family said that they did fear for their lives. He said it was two big waves that hit them along the side, and it was very windy in Nassau. And it's interesting to have this report because the first video that I saw, the seas did not look that bad, but evidently now from this eyewitness report and others, it was high seas with high wind that day in Nassau. And they did confirm in this that it was a ship-purchased excursion. I've heard from other people that know something about the incident that the crew members, they had a hard time. Either they were trained for an emergency or they simply panicked in a human emergency, something that they hadn't faced before. And so it wasn't, there wasn't somebody on board who very calmly told people how to evacuate and get off the ship. So we have to wait for more information to come out, but I did want to pass along what I knew about this boat that had passengers that were on a cruise excursion. I often, when I take excursions, I have been on what I thought are overcrowded boats. I'm not saying this boat was overcrowded, but it had a lot of people on it. And I have been in Roatan going snorkeling, and I've been in Cozumel going to one of my favorite beaches where I think they put too many people on the ships. And I certainly hope they have enough life vests for everyone. But I wonder sometimes, I think if a sea was choppy or things seemed a little off to me after hearing what happened with this excursion, that I might not decide to get on a ship in high seas that seem to have many, many people on it. So just something to think about. I wish some of these boat excursions would charge more and have less passengers. I think everyone would be happier with the excursion as well as the safety for an excursion such as that. Our second story today is about the Carnival Panorama, which just announced via John Hill this morning that they have canceled 2 more cruises, trying to get their Azapart propulsion fixed. Basically, they had already canceled the cruises from November 11th to December 2nd, and they just announced this morning that they also have to cancel the cruises on November 9th and November 16th. So 2 more cruises had to be canceled. Hopefully the ship will be ready for their Christmas cruise. It's interesting. The reason that it's taking them longer is they had to get to a shipyard up in Oregon to do the repair, and in order to get to the shipyard they had to go somewhere else and have the whale tail on the ship removed so that they could get under a bridge to get them to the shipyard. So that is going to take longer. They have to get the whale tail removed, go get the repairs, and then come back and have the whale tail reattached. I got this information from Odd Jobs, also on Cruise Critic this morning, so thank you to him for that interesting bit of information. I do know if you have a canceled cruise, that Carnival is offering future ship cruise credits of 50% as well as a full refund for those cruises. So check with your travel planner or check with Carnival directly to find out how you'll be compensated for that cruise. So thank you for joining me today. I'm Denise Van Patten. I'm starting some cruise news here on my channel as well as travel news, and I'm glad that you could join me. If you enjoyed this video and want more cruise news, please be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I have new news for you, as well as my other content. I do ship reviews, ship tours. I do kind of advice on like everything from food to excursions to ports on this channel. Focus mainly on cruises, but also have travel content as well. Thank you for joining me. You've been watching D's Cruise News on Cruising with D.